All right, welcome. I'm Moniquederouen. I'm the mind body coach, and today I want to talk to you specifically about mindset and the mind body connection. So, first, I want to break down what is mindset. We've all been told what mindset is, but I want to give you my definition and then also what the actual dictionary says. So, the dictionary says the established set of attitudes held by someone. My personal definition of mindset is described as the way that my mind interprets all the information that's out there and then plays it out for me. Make sense? Okay. So this information can be factual or not. It can be true, it can be false, it can be made up, but it's the way I specifically interpret it based off of my life experiences and what I've been taught throughout my life. So, what my mama said, what my daddy said, what my church said, what my school said, what the television said when I was a child, right? And if you think about it, everything that we've experienced, all of our attitudes, beliefs, thoughts that we have about everything is ours. What we see in the world, how we interpret it, and the entire world around us. What I see, think, and believe is going to be completely different from you. This is why we have so much conflict, confusion, chaos. It can actually influence how we approach challenges, opportunities, and setbacks. So you may have an amazing opportunity in front of you and be afraid to take it based off of something that you were taught when you were younger. You may have a setback or a challenge that either you go full force into or you back away from because you think and feel a certain way about it. Make sense? So the mind-body connection is the idea that our thoughts and our emotions and our attitudes can actually influence our physical and mental well-being. This means that the way you think and feel can impact your physical body. Every thought you think actually produces chemicals and neurotransmitters in the body. So every time you're thinking a thought, and if you can imagine, we're thinking, 80,000 thoughts a day, chemical. I wonder how many seconds there are in a day. I kind of want to do the math and figure that out. So if there's 60 seconds, 60 minutes, Robin, you know how many seconds there are in a day? I want to figure it out real quick. So we can actually put this into perspective for y'all.
I'm working on it.
Okay, yeah, let me know. 86,400. I knew it was something like that. Okay, so 86,000 seconds and 80,000 thoughts a day. So 6,400 seconds you're not thinking out of a day, okay? Which is, I'm gonna see if I can figure that out in minutes. 6,400. What is that, like 10 minutes? Like, like I want to be serious here. So, y'all, you can imagine the amount of chemicals and neurotransmitters running through your body all day long. So, if you're stressed, you're feeling stress or anxious, your body's going to produce and respond to things like stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, which can actually raise your heart rate, raise your blood pressure, impact your digestive system. It can impact your saliva production, your tears. Think about when your body has this stomach knot or this nausea going on. Like, I wonder if it's actually just from dropping adrenaline, dropping cortisone, dropping hormones so fast that the body can't actually let it move through and do what it's designed to do. You have a thought? If y'all have thoughts about this or questions while I'm talking, just raise your hand and let's have a conversation. Like, I definitely want to talk about this. Molly, I just muted you because you have some feedback, but if you have questions or anything, let me know so we can get you on the screen. Everybody following me so far? So 86,400 seconds in a day, 80,000 thoughts a day you're thinking. Let's just call it all day long you're thinking. And so to think we can turn the thinker off, we would be dead, right? I say that all the time. Like, I'm like, if y'all stopped thinking, you would be dead. So we don't want you to stop thinking, but we want you to just notice what's happening in the body when you think. And that some of these thoughts you don't have control over, but we might be able to separate them from the facts, from the reality. Even though your mind is thinking it, it might not be what's really happening out here. Because remember, those thoughts came from what you heard in second grade and third grade and in your mother's womb. I mean, if we want to get real crazy, what your mother heard in her mother's womb and her mother's womb and her mother's womb, that they eventually passed down to you. It's kind of like the recipe that great grandma had that everybody has, right? And they just keep using and using and using. Similar to that. I have had to Google anxiety symptoms because I couldn't recognize the sickness versus the anxiety. Yeah. So with that, think about the symptoms are the manifestation from the anxiety. The anxiety is produced because the adrenaline, the cortisol, the pain, all the information is dropping from the brain based off of the thoughts. The thoughts are coming from what is out here in the world that my brain is picking up on that I learned from so-and-so back 20 years ago. Make sense? If I'm walking and enjoying the walking, then my knee starts hurting. Interesting. So I would ask myself, what was I told about being careful while I'm walking? Knee pain. Where did I learn in my life that someone else hurt through movement, through activity, through walking? Did anybody in my family ever talk about pain when they walked, pain when they moved? You might not even remember it. It might not be a conscious memory, right? I remember the women in my family saying, I gain weight looking at cheesecake. Oh, I just look at that cheesecake and I gain weight. And I thought that was real because I was a child. And I thought cheesecake was the devil. I should never have cheesecake. It's going to make me fat. It's going to give me cellulite. It's this big, horrible thing that's out to get me. And I'm here to say there is no cheesecake running through my house chasing me, telling me to eat it, or that it's going to give me cellulite. Robin says, yes, it seems like all the older women in my family talked about sickness or death. Yes. So I remember being a kid and it scared me because I walked into a birthday party and it said over the hill at 40. Lordy, Lordy, look who's 40. They're over the hill. It's downward from here. Black balloons. All of this stuff was out. And I had to be 6 or 7 years old. And I'm like, they're going to die. So you can imagine my nervous system at that time created an imprint that once you hit 40, that's death. Well, I'm older than 40 and I'm still here. And at this point, I'm actually healthier than I think I've ever been in my entire life. which goes against everything they said. But I didn't know that that's just what they were saying. But the more we heard those things, the more we integrated it and took it in and imprinted it, and then it became truth. Make sense so far? Okay. All right. Make sure I answered all these. Okay. So with mind-body connection, it's important because it means that we can use our thoughts and emotions to actually improve our physical health. If our thoughts and emotions can make us sick, then our thoughts and emotions can make us better. Yes? So what are some of the techniques that I use personally to improve overall health and reduce the risk of illness and disease, DIS-ease, lack of ease in the body? I'm going to show you a few. I would like you all to think about a child, a toddler. Some of you have toddlers around you. Some of you have grandkids. Some of you work in school systems. Y'all have all seen a kid, right? That wants something and doesn't get it, or is tired, and they just start this, right? This loud screaming, this tantrum on the ground. And I know myself, I was a very young mother, and I didn't know anything about this. And I told my kid, get up off the ground, get your shoes on, let's go. Nobody's got time for this. We don't want to hear that. That's what I was taught. How would I know different? Right? So what this child is actually doing is letting all of this emotion move through, because they don't have access to the prefrontal cortex, where they can actually have verbiage and words and understanding and communicate clearly. So they throw a tantrum. We call it the terrible twos, the terrible threes, the ferocious fours. Like, it just goes on and on and on, right? But as a parent, I was trying to stop my children from misbehaving, embarrassing me, acting up in the grocery store, whatever it was, because that's all I knew. Now I understand that because their brains aren't developed and they feel things similar to animals, they need to make noise, they need to vibrate, they need to shake, they need to tremble. And my job was actually just to let them lay there on the floor and do that, and make sure they didn't hit their head or hurt themselves. But I stopped them. And I would imagine that this is a big part of why my daughter has a hard time feeling things. I made her cut off from her emotions when she was very young, not knowing any better. So I use techniques like tapping that can be really gentle, right? You can tap on your throat, you can tap on your face, you can tap on your head, you can tap on your chest. I tap on my steering wheel when I drive. When the guy in front of me starts getting crazy or shutting me off. When I'm in public and I'm nervous, I tap on the outside of my pants leg sometimes. Sometimes I'll grab my ear. I'm actually just trying to feel something so that I don't come out of my body and eject. Because the other side of that would be fight, flight, freeze, fawn, right? Where I actually fight somebody or freeze and cower in, eject, go off into daydream land, cut people off, whatever. Like that would be that side. And so I didn't have the skills to do it. So I like the collarbone. I go straight to the collarbone. I like the vibration in my neck and my ears. I like the sternum. If I'm feeling some wounds from childhood, I go under the ribs, the left ribs. And when you get to the spot, you will know what I'm talking about. It's tender. It's very tender. If I'm mad at my mom, if I'm mad at my daughter, if I'm hating on 1983, this is where I go because it's something in this lineage right there, right? So there's meridian points on the body. But really, I like shaking. I just shake my head, shake my wrist. I sometimes shake my body like this. I just, if I can't say anything, if I don't even know what I'm trying to say, I think about a little kid throwing raspberries, blowing raspberries like they, you know? And I might walk up and down my stairs for 5 minutes doing that. Just getting it out. Few things. I'm exhaling, which is always going to move stuff through the body. I'm moving my lips, even though there's no words coming out. It feels like I'm releasing something. And it's kind of silly. So it's kind of fun. It's not too serious. The problem is, if my husband's in the house, I might go hide from him to do it. Or if I'm in public, I can't do that in Target. Or no, not anymore. I cry in Target and I blow raspberries in front of him. I don't care. That's me. If that's not available for you, you don't have to. But the more you can practice being yourself, the easier it's going to be yourself in public spaces or with your family, which is a huge part of Self-Healing Masters. We want y'all to really practice being yourself. That's why we have it the way we do set up there. So all that makes sense so far? Okay. So you could just find a room and pitch a fit, right? You could just and be 4, because there's probably a 4-year-old inside of you that never got to do that. Or if they did, they might have been corrected or shamed. And so that might not be fun, right? So give yourself permission to do that if it feels right. I used to put my head in the bathwater and just scream because I didn't want to do it out loud. Now I have this beautiful mountain that I just go stand outside and yell. Not when people are sleeping or, I have neighbors or guests, but if I'm home alone and I'm just feeling funky, I'll go step outside. Sometimes when it's warm and in the snow, I just put my feet in the grass. If it's warm and you can put your feet in the grass, just feel the grass between your toes. Maybe even try to pinch it with your toes, like rake it. Anything to create some grounding after you move this energy or yell or throw a tantrum or whatever you need to do. So you can just go shake or tremble somewhere. You could move around. You could wiggle. Whatever you would have gotten in trouble for doing in church when you were 6 is probably what you should do. We got our ears pinched in church. They would just grab us by our ears and, and if you yelled, which I always wanted to yell child abuse, I got popped more. So you can see, yeah, Robin, and I don't know if that's a Southern thing or not. I don't know if y'all got in trouble like that in church, but we were made to sit in church and we were made to sit quiet. And if we made noise, the little tiny hairs on the back of your neck right here, they would pull that. So you can imagine there are moments where I needed to express, but I wasn't allowed to. So when the energy gets trapped in the body from these thoughts and feelings, and we don't action, express, move it, it's going to create these little spots of energy where things get trapped. The majority of things are going to get trapped between the roof, the mouth, and the rectum. Mouth, throat, heart, stomach, clenched in the buttocks. That's just the reality. That's where most of our trauma has been stored. Very seldom do I see somebody say, oh, my hand just cramped up and I can't move it. But all of a sudden, oh, I got heartburn. My stomach hurts. Or my throat, right? And the roof of the mouth mirrors the roof of the pelvis. And so you can imagine all that information, all that energy, just staying stuck between those places. Then if you want to get really scientific and technical, every vertebrae in your body has nerves that go to different parts of the body. So if you've got something stuck here, it might go down the arm all the way to the hand, right? You might feel pain. If you have something in the low body between the hips, it might go down to the feet or the legs. So where we feel pain may not be necessarily where pain manifested. You can unmute. You got a question?
That's put a kink in the knowledge area.
Oh yeah? What just came in?
So where, if it's not in the knees, where is it?
Yeah, so the knees represent being inflexible or fear of moving forward, right? The knees support, they bend, they carry us with the legs.
Mm-hmm.
And so anything, wherever that nerve from the knee comes from, may actually be where the store pain or trauma is. And the knee is actually reflecting it based off of the story that might be there.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where do I find that spot?
Yeah. I mean, we can do some of this work as we move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all heard she just coughed as soon as she came on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sure sign of the unconscious understanding this. But the brain is what wants to understand it. The mind wants to understand it. But we can't solve the mind's problems with the mind. So we have to go into the feeling in the body. Make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to stand up and show y'all some body tapping, some shaking, some movement. You're welcome to do it on camera with me or off camera, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm not going to make any rules. I will just put me up. And I'm not going to put on any music or anything because I want y'all to hear me. But I want you to think about, if you're standing up, just coming up on your toes and then just kind of dropping down and just letting the body just kind of wiggle, just whatever it needs to do. You don't have to do it really hard. I'm doing it pretty hard because I'm used to this, but it might be tender on your heels. And I'm just rocking up on my toes and dropping down. And I'm just letting my entire body, you can see my whole body just kind of shiver and shake, just dropping in. And I might just do this for a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute, whatever I need. And just keep breathing out when you do it. And if you have noise, whatever comes out is fine. There's no rules to this. And then you might just take a second and just kind of shake your legs for a second. Just let it move through. Just wiggle for a second. So just wiggle your feet, wiggle your legs, shake it out for a second. And then just notice.
Recording in progress.
Okay, we're back. Just wiggle for a second, right? Now, you ever seen kids just kind of do this? Just this silly stuff. They're just moving their arms. They're just out in the baseball field looking up at the sky, or they're walking through the yard and they're doing this, or they're in the store and they're like, just moving their arms. And you can just shake your wrists, shake your shoulders, just move the body. All you're doing is letting the energy move through. And you might even just do a little drum on your body. You might just tap side to side, wherever the hands need to go. If they come up here, and tap the shoulders, if they hit the rib cage, if they hit down by the hips, doesn't matter. But again, just letting the body do what it wants to do. And what you're doing right now is you're wringing the spine out. You're exchanging nutrients up and down the spine. So you can kind of think about the vertebrae just kissing each other. And again, imagine moving all of these old stories, these trapped emotions, these old information cycles that are stuck in there. And you don't have to know what they are, but just kind of wringing out the spine over and over and over like that, right? And so maybe they're just popping out, popping out, popping out. And just take a moment and check in head to toe. You might feel a little bit of your heartbeat faster. You might feel a little bit of tingling in different parts of the body. You might feel the need to keep moving or stretching, whatever feels right. There's no wrong here. It's just wiggling, it's just moving. Now, I like to do those a lot. Sometimes I just shake. I just act like I got a soda can and I'm shaking it up because I'm about to go pop it on my brother and make it explode, right? Like, so it might just be shaking up a bottle. Shaking the salt shaker. I think there's a song that says that, shake it like a salt shaker, right? And so it might just be shaking the hands. And if you're sitting down, you might just do that with the feet. You might just, wiggle the feet. If you're sitting in a chair and you're cozy and you're comfortable, it might just be wiggling the toes, wiggling the body. All of this is going to get you into your body, and it's what we refer to as presence. So this is just one more thing you can do. So kind of check in again. If you want to really move some stuff and you're feeling a lot, you can take your fist, pinky side, and you can go right underneath the belly button. So my belly button's here, so it's about a fist down. Here's my pubic bone. So right above the pubic bone, between the belly button and the pubic bone, and just do a little bit of tapping. I call this pounding. So if you hear me talking about pounding, some people don't like it. I did not like this 10 years ago. When I learned this in massage school, it's called tapotemont. I wanted to come out of my skin and cut people's faces off. I imagine now it's because I had a lot of trapped trauma in my body that I was not aware of. So if it feels very uncomfortable, you're probably doing it right. If it feels good, you're probably doing it right? So it just depends on what end of the spectrum you're on right now. You can come up into the hips. You can make noise and let it vibrate through. Vibration and sound is very healing. So you can do this for a few minutes. It might be very tender. That's normal. If that's too much, you can use your hands and just do palms. And you can do one at a time, or you can do both. When I first started doing this, it was very hard for me to touch my stomach because I had a lot of stories about the way that my body looked. I had a lot of stories about my stretch marks and my physical body, and it was very uncomfortable for me to touch certain parts of my body because of my own thoughts about it. So you can play with that and just notice if anything comes up or is uncomfortable, completely normal. You can go into the rib cage. So here is my rib cage, right? Here's my ribs, all the way here. You can do the same thing there. When you get under that rib cage, you're probably going to find a spot that's extremely tender. It might make you want to freak out and create temper. I'll go ahead and go there because that's what came up in me. You can do the same thing. You can do just a little bit of pounding. And I mean, I'm hitting pretty forceful. I don't know if y'all can hear it or not. But I'm making some noise. And again, if I just open my mouth and you're gonna hear that, right? Same thing, you could just do your hands. If the fists are too aggressive, if it's not comfortable, you can always go to your hands. And then I go up into my heart. And I will go from the shoulder all the way down the breast, all the way around. And I want you to think about the lymph nodes in the body as well, right? So you can just go around in circles, under the armpit, down the side, and just actually make a circle all the way around your breast tissue. That may or may not be comfortable for some of you. One side may be different than the other. Remember, the left side is what we take in. It's the feminine side. The right side is the masculine side, and it's what we put out. And so just tap all across the shoulders. If you have neck pain, you can just tap right here on the top of the shoulders and even into the neck. You could do this sitting down in your recliner. You don't have to stand up. You don't have to have a lot of energy. And then just take a moment again and just notice. Does the body feel more open? Does the body feel more flexible, more free? You may or may not have a difference right now. You could go all the way down the arm. You're going to hit a lot of meridian points here. All the way down the arm, like this. And then flip over, clap your own hand, and come up. Then I like to go all four sides, so I put my thumb up. Go back down. And this doesn't have to take long. This entire body can be like 10 minutes in the morning, and you can get moving. Go up, 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 up. Make sure you hit those lymph nodes. Go down if you want to hit that mother wound. And you can just take a second again and just notice, is one side tingly? Does one side have more movement? If you want to do the other side, do the other side. And you can always start with the palm down. And I like to flip my hand over and give myself a little clap for doing this because it feels good to my body. And again, I don't have to know anything that's going on. It's just waking up my body. It's just moving energy. It just feels good. And then come again, all the way up. And I might just kind of shake again. I might just kind of stand here. I might just kind of bounce. I might just move my arms. Whatever feels right. I might just be 3 running through the field. No rules, no rhythm, no rhyme, nothing. You can do the same thing with your legs if you want to. You can start right here with kidneys. Kidneys hold fear. So if you're feeling afraid, this is a great tapping point. It's literally right here at the bone. You can feel it. You can feel it in your low back. I can feel it all the way up to my cranium, all the way in my head right now. And you can just go down the back of the legs, all the way down. And you can basically do the same thing you just did on the arms. Hit the front of the feet. Come up. Tap the knees. Move up. This is more lymph nodes right here in the groin area, so stay here for a second. You can go down the outside. When you get to the ankle, go into the inside. This does not take long. Come back to that groin. You just stay there for a second. And now my hands are a little tingly. I got a pretty good bit of energy in my body. And I might just take a breath and sit back down. And just notice. Does anything feel more flexible, more open? If y'all have feedback on how that felt or anything that you experienced, I would love to hear. My throat tension went away while doing the exercises. Yes, I 100% believe that. So could you imagine if you practice this for 10 minutes every day, that it might start to work on that part of the brain? if you tapped into those kidneys when you felt that fear of that throat come up? I see you, I feel you, I know they're there, right? Like I told Muriel the other day, I see you, I feel you, I know you're there. You don't have to get my attention this way. Any point of contact is good. Your neck and shoulders started hurting. Do you think it was because you were holding your hands up, like lifted up? Because mine did that when I first started doing this, because I wasn't used to holding my hands up like that. It was really uncomfortable. But if I sat down and I just did my legs, like bring it down to your legs. Just tap on the thighs for a minute. Just wherever it goes, all around the thighs, all around the legs. And just see if you notice anything there. When the first time I did this, I did it for about 2 hours straight. And I thought my arms were going to fall off. So I don't recommend going that crazy. But I'm extreme. Y'all know that. Got to try it all the way through. I think 10 to 15 minutes of this is plenty. Yeah. Did you notice a difference when you went down to your legs, Muriel? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to open the floor for questions, feedback, comments. If y'all want to unmute, if you want to come on, if you want to have a discussion, I can turn the recording off if y'all feel like that's good.